Contrary to what everybody thinks about FDR and the First Lady, their united front wasn't so united. We all know the story, but now it's time to see Eleanor's side of it, living a life haunted by betrayal. Eleanor Roosevelt was born October 11, 1884, raised by her mother and father, Anna Hall and Elliot Roosevelt. Her mother was very mean to her during her childhood, calling her names like Granny because she thought her young daughter looked like an old lady. At the age of 8, her mother died of diphtheria, and only 2 years later, her father died of a seizure after attempted suicide. Since she needed a place to live, looking at the different possibilities, her grandmother was a better fit over her strange uncles. Eleanor's grandmother sent her off to the Allenwood Academy, an all-women's school in London. At the age of 18, Eleanor left Allenswood and made her way to New York City for her social debut at the Waldorf and Astoria Hotel. A couple years down the road, she marries Franklin Roosevelt, her fifth cousin once removed. Eleanor attends her first Democratic Party conventions in 1912, and soon after, her political career takes off. When FDR becomes Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Eleanor hires Lucy Mercer as her social secretary to take care of social events, so they had one less thing to worry about. A year later, all over the headlines was World War I taking Europe by storm. Closer to home, though, it had taken Eleanor 5 years after she hired Mercer to find out about the heartbreaking affair between her husband and Lucy. Home life wasn't so great after that. Her family endured a lot of tension, and eventually it died down when Eleanor made Franklin promise to never see Mercer again. Eleanor took her mind off of home life when she made time to volunteer at the hospitals, visiting World War I vets, such as those from St. Elizabeth's. During each visit, she told the men to write letters to their loved ones that she would forward each one personally. While supporting Franklin during his travels on his campaign trail for vice president, Eleanor joins the League of Women's Voters. Sadly, a year later, FDR disappears from the public eye and politics when he is paralyzed from the torso down from polio. No one anticipated the struggles they would face, but Eleanor stepped up her game. She became a member of the Women's Trade Union League and division of the Democratic State Committee when she met Marion Dickerman and Nancy Cook. With these two women, they purchased Todd Hunter School, a girls' seminary in New York. Eleanor took up a passion for teaching history and government. In 1926, Franklin was elected governor of New York. He only served 4 years before he was elected president in 1932. This led Eleanor to become the first ever First Lady to hold all-female press conferences. On December 7, 1941, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. This caused great confliction within the nation. At this point, the U.S. enters the war. Eleanor took it upon herself to acknowledge the problem only 6 hours later on her radio show. As the war continues to brew, Eleanor had so much influence on civil rights for women and African Americans, she eventually influenced the Army Nurses Corps to extend its membership to black women. There are so many amazing feats she accomplished in such a short amount of time. On April 5, 1945, Eleanor's daughter was asked by FDR for a reunion. He asked her to reunite himself with Lucy Mercer. They traveled and met up in Warm Springs, Georgia. 7 days later, Franklin Roosevelt died. When Eleanor found out, she was devastated. No one could have guessed how she felt when it was made known that Lucy Mercer was there as well. After the death of her husband, she bounced back into politics just a year later. Nothing could stop her sight line of success. In 1946, Eleanor was elected the head of the United Nations Human Rights Commission. She started drafting the Declaration for Human Rights. Eleanor spoke on the subject many times throughout her career. On December 10, 1948, the Declaration was passed in the UN. Eleanor started growing older and started to slow down. In 1952, she resigned from the United Nations and helped others get their start. In 1960, JFK started running for office. Eleanor made another return to politics. She heavily supported JFK's presidential campaign. JFK reappointed the former First Lady to the UN as the chair of presidential commissions on the status of women. Sadly, November 7, 1962, Eleanor Roosevelt died at age of 78. Leading a life Eleanor did, She faced many hardships in her personal and political life. This life, haunted by betrayal, changed so many others.
Hey guys, it's Shy. Hope you liked the video. Make sure you subscribe at Spark Media Project. We're awesome. You should subscribe twice.
Yeah! Yeah!